had a bye week, so a chance to get some players rested up and a chance to work on some of the things that you wanted to after two games that were against powerhouses from another conference. We played Clinton, and you were the first team to actually score against Clinton this year, and against Havelock as well, and you've held them to the least amount of points that they scored all year. Havelock with another big game this past weekend, showing the powerhouse they are in 3A. So really good job in those last two games. Now those games are scheduled, so you get ready for conference play. You're playing teams that are a tier up from you. But next year, not going to be the case. They're actually, Havelock will be in your conference next year.
Right, they will. We're moving up to 3A next year, being in the same conference with Havelock, Jacksonville, West Carteret, White Oak, and Swansboro. Pretty much play all those teams right now, non-conference-wise. It's going to be tough. Kids are excited about the move, and pretty much we're trying to this schedule here that we played non-conference last year is going to let us know where we'll be at 3A pretty much.
Now, we talked a little bit here before the show about the playoff changes that are occurring this year. If you could take just a moment, please, to explain some of the differences from last year to this year with the playoff format.
Right, last year each conference was given 2 plus, or at least half plus 1 of their number of conference games that they had, or conference teams in their conference that they had to go to the playoffs. This year is a pilot year of a new thing where only the conference winner is guaranteed to make the playoffs, and then all the rest of the teams in the state are going to be seeded by their overall record. So there's a chance that, we might not win the conference, and if our record's not good enough, we may not make the playoffs.
And that's, to me, I can state my opinion. I'm not stating anybody else's opinion but my own. I really don't like that format because I think it's going to take away a lot of games. When you schedule non-conference games, you're going to start scheduling, and I'm not saying you in particular, but other teams are going to start scheduling weaker teams because the overall record now is playing a factor, whereas before it went on conference record.
Right, it's going to be tough. Actually, I've already been looking around and got a pretty good, tough non-conference schedule for next year. Need one more game, but closest team that can play us is like 2-3 hours away, and I don't want to put a team on a bus on a Thursday or Friday night driving 2-3 hours to play a game. But right now, as far as non-conference, again, we didn't shy away from competition. We start off with Jones Senior, then we play New Hanover, who's this year's 4A, which will be dropping down to 3A, and then we go to Clinton. We have James Keenan and Wallace Rose Hill right now in non-conference next year.
It's easy to point out the negatives during a change. Are there any positives to this new rule that you can think of?
Toughest thing, to be honest, I really don't like it either. I think you will find some teams that are going to try to avoid you or the good teams and make an easier schedule. And the thing about it is, with that schedule I just gave you, if we just happen to lose one conference game and all those non-conference games, there's a chance that we can go in as number 2 seed out of the conference, but don't make the playoffs because we got a 4-6 record, where a team can be the number 3 seed and have a 6-4 record, and they make the playoffs.
Now, last year, when it came to the records, if there was a tie within the conference, you really didn't have to worry about it too much because you knew both teams, first and second, were going to be on to the playoffs anyway. Is there a tiebreaker that's in place if you happen to finish with the same record as somebody else in your conference now?
No, you still have the coin toss and then the head-to-head battle versus the other teams. But the thing is, with this new pilot thing that they're doing there for the playoffs is, it's kind of saying that your non-conference games really don't matter to me, or your conference games really don't matter, because you could win your non-conference games, you win 5 of those, and you don't win your conference, and you're guaranteed a spot in.
I think that makes it really tough, especially when you are a powerhouse, and I do consider Northside, from a lot of the fans that I speak to at the away games, Northside is considered to be a powerhouse in 2A. So a lot of the other teams are not going to schedule you, and as you're already finding out now, having a little bit of trouble finding one more game next year. And I think there's a better way to do it, but again, that's not my place, and I don't know everything that's all behind it. But I think there could be a better way to do it, but what can you really do? All you can do is schedule the games, of course, that are in conference. You have those automatically, and then find some out-of-conference games. It's just going to make it a lot tougher, I think, from a coaching standpoint, because you don't have the opportunities to be able to schedule some of the higher guys and get your team ready anymore.
Right, it is. It's going to be a lot tougher. I would love to play someone like, if the conference playoff situation wasn't like it may be, I'd love to play a team like Rose or New Bern, give our team another challenge before we go into conference play. But right now we're still looking for one. But if this pilot situation with the playoff goes into effect for sure next year, then I may just end up with 2 bye weeks.
Is there a chance that if all the coaches do not agree with it, or if you have the majority of the coaches not agreeing with it after this pilot year, is there a chance that it could go back to the way it was?
I think if most coaches really looked at it, I think they will decide not to vote that situation in, and hopefully the state will listen to the coaches and will keep it the way it is now.
Now, being a 3-2, coming off consecutive losses to Clinton and to Havelock, and again, by any means, some real positives in those 2 games. Coming up next this Friday will be against Jones Senior, a team coming in at 2-3, and they've had a pretty up and down season. What are some of the things you expect Jones Senior to be doing coming into this game?
Jones is going to be tough. Being a former coach from there, they got tough kids. They're going to be athletic, and they're going to play hard. I went and checked them out Friday night and scouted them against Riverside, and they played hard the entire game. They just few bodies, but they played tough. They played Riverside tough. At one point, Jones was ahead. I told the guys today that we really have to jump on them from the start and try to keep them down. If not, then we could be in for a battle.
Jones Senior has scored some points this year. There was one game where they were shut out, but they also played a good game last week. As you said, they lost, I believe it was 39-24 that they lost to Riverside, and they had limited guys on the sideline. This team has a lot of heart, though, Jones Senior. It's a different team than we saw last year. Northside traveled to Jones Senior. It was the frog game, if you're aware, where we had all the frogs in the back. And I actually think the kicker, I can't remember the name of the kicker last year for Northside, kicked it into the pond through the uprights, going left to right. And I remember Jones Senior. This time they are coming to the Monarchs, and that game will be live on WAVQ radio. It will be this Friday. Kickoff will be at 7 o'clock. The pregame show will start at 6:40. And joining us now is Ben Steiger.
Hey, welcome. Glad to be here, and it's a beautiful night to talk some football. And Coach, again, thank you for coming out. One of the things that's so important about a football team during a bye week is the opportunity to rest up, to get the guys their legs back underneath them as they approach conference play, and allow those folks who have been nicked and bruised and worked hard during the season to kind of catch back up and get healed. I know Jakevius Wooten was out for a couple of games with a hamstring injury. Can you update us a little bit more on his status and some of the other guys that have been hurt?
Right now, Wooten is day-to-day. We do expect him to play Friday against Jones Senior. He got to practice today before his work with the trainer, but he actually put his pads on and went through some drills with us today. Of course, Mo is out for the season with the knee injury. But I told the kids Thursday, if they really look back and think about it, we only been at 100% for 15 minutes all year. And that was our first scrimmage against Northeastern. We looked pretty good, but we've been playing pretty good football without those guys, and we're going to try to keep it going.